Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, Attorney General Pruitt, thank you for being here today. I would like to go back to something that a colleague, Senator Duckworth, mentioned earlier today, and that's the point of obligation. The proposal to change the point of obligation under the RFS is an example of a regulatory change that would destabilize the policy environment if adopted. And what's interesting with the point of obligation, we have two sides that normally oppose each other that have actually come together. So both biofuel producers and the American Petroleum Institute oppose this change, both groups. And I would like to submit a letter for the record showing the united opposition to moving the point of obligation. Mr. Chair, if we could have that entered into the record.
Without objection.
And I'd like to revisit this. If you can, yes or no, as administrator, will you oppose changes to the point of obligation?
Senator, as I indicated in my meeting with you, and I think in response to Senator Duckworth earlier, there's a comment period in process now at the EPA about the point of obligation. I think prejudging, the outcome of that process at this point is unwise. I can say to you, as I said to you in the office, any steps that I would take as EPA administrator with respect to any issues as far as the RINs program, the monitoring that program, point of obligation, all these various issues that we discuss, the job of the EPA administrator is to make sure that the statute is upheld and enforced and not undermined. The vitality of the RFS program has been defined by Congress dating back to 2005. Any steps that the EPA administrator takes needs to be done in such a way to further the objectives of Congress in that statute, not undermine the objectives of Congress in that statute.
Well, I do appreciate you being objective, and I'm sure that Senator Duckworth and I will look forward to continuing to educate you on those issues. So thank you very much. I would like to show a chart of the state of Iowa, and I would like to go back to some of Senator Cardin's comments about who should define what the expanded definition of waters of the U.S. is. So this is a chart of the state of Iowa, and as you can see, with the expanded definition as provided by the EPA, 97% of the state of Iowa is now considered waters of the U.S. So if you are in an area like mine, southwest Iowa here, right down here, I live in a water of the U.S. Most of the state is covered by the waters of the U.S. And I bring that up because in a moment, am going to show you another picture of the consequences of the EPA defining what a water of the U.S. is. Last Congress, this committee examined the scope of the Federal Clean Water Act jurisdiction EPA and the Corps of Engineers claim today, even without the new WOTUS rule. The committee found that EPA and the Corps are already expanding their jurisdiction using the concepts that they codified in WOTUS. They are just doing it by a case-by-case basis. The jurisdictional claims that are already being made are very troubling. For example, the Obama EPA told the public that they will not regulate puddles. They will not regulate puddles. However, we learned that the Corps is already regulating puddles by claiming that a puddle in a gravel parking lot is, in quotes, a degraded wetland. A degraded wetland. The Obama EPA also told farmers not to worry about being regulated because ordinary farming activities have a statutory exemption. We learned that the Corps of Engineers and the Department of Justice have decided that plowing is not an ordinary farming activity. Explain that to my dear deceased grandfather and my father, whose activities in farming include plowing. According to the Obama administration, any plowing that pushes soil into furrows is not an exempt farming activity because the tops of plowed furrows can dry out. According to a brief filed by the United States, in quotes, the furrow tops now serve as small mountain ranges. Right there, folks, small mountain ranges. These furrow tops now provide conditions that are not conducive to growth and development of wetland plant species. They are mini uplands, end quote. This is a picture of these small mountain ranges from the government's expert report. Mr. Pruitt, will you commit to me that if confirmed, EPA will work with the Corps and DOJ to make sure that federal agencies stop trying to regulate ordinary farming practices?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you for that very concise answer. Thank you, Mr. Chair.